think we're okay. I think y'all can see me okay. Let me trying to lower it. Yeah, I think that's better. I think that's better. I'm getting ready to scoot back and relax. Oh, my house shoes. Oh, here's one. I'll put the other one on here in a bit. We're doing cleaning today, y'all. See who comes in. I'm gonna talk regardless. Oh, my Lord. Cleaning to do. Let's see who's in here. Y'all see my boxes. Today is a cleaning day. We're getting ready to move the couch today. I pretty much got everything over there. I got a little area I gotta get. Let's see who's in. And we're gonna talk today. Cause more feedback, more feedback. I hope whoever's in here have a blessed day. We're gonna give it about 5 minutes because I just came on. I just got back in the house and I'm tired. But I'm gonna talk about some feedback from the previous videos. I gotta go through these boxes. I'm gonna use them for the barbecue sauce. They're boxes that I have from Amazon, but they're small, and some of them from a candle company, but I can reuse them. So I'm gonna recycle them and I can use them for the barbecue sauce, which I'll be working on a batch this weekend. And I wanna see what shipping charges are. So I'm gonna ship some to my best friend. She's in Florida. Another, my friend who's in Newark, I'm gonna send her some. I'm gonna send some locally to see what the shipping charges are, because I've heard the post office is going up. So I don't know what method of shipping I'm doing. I was trying to keep everything around $10, but based on now the price of everything going up, it might be around $15 for the jars. And I think I'm doing 8-ounce jars. Yeah, I'm doing 8-ounce jars. I gotta get some more jars. And I may just right now use canning jars, but I have a jar that I'm interested in. But until I see how it does, I'm gonna invest only so much. That way I can see how everybody feels about it. I know what I got as far as like people I used to work with at University of Phoenix. I had interest there, but I need to really see how it goes and see what the Lord does with it. Whew. Okay, y'all. I'm going to give it about 2 more minutes. See who all comes in. It's hot here in Arizona. Yesterday I took about 3 hours early off. We can do what's called ATO, which is approved time off. It's non-paid, but I needed a break. The governing agency that is over, because I work for government insurance, they're coming in Monday, but I think they're doing a lot of test calls because it was just weird stuff, very weird. So I was like, I need a break. They've been challenging my brain, so I need a break. Let me see, anybody on live chat? Okay. So I'm going to get into everything. But last night, so I left early and I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy. But this isn't about that. It's going to be about some conversations I've had in reference to the past couple of videos that I did. Was it last weekend? I think it was last weekend. I dropped the gift off at my brother's. Did I do it last weekend? Was it last weekend? I can't remember, y'all. I think it was last weekend. I'm getting old. It was good to see him. He's the youngest one on the mother's side. And yeah, if you guys come in, please give us a like, a thumbs up. And I dropped the gift off. I got to meet his wife. I enjoyed doing that. Like I said, of the 2 sister-in-laws, and not saying the other sister-in-law was bad. She just popped off the first meeting. And I was like, oh, you got a little smart aleck remark. Hey, PJ, what's up? Blessings to you, baby. How you doing? How's your weather? It's hot here in AZ. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to just keep talking for now. But last night I took off a couple hours early. Oh, and the picture you guys see on the thumbnail, that is, today I went and got dim sum because I was like, I need to get out the house, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit because some of the conversations I've gotten into with people who are dealing with abuse issues. Okay, and I don't know, the Lord, Kathy asked this last week. She said something's going on, meaning, and when I read her comment, what I realized, and whether she was intending it that way, but I realized that sometimes the Lord talks and he'll talk through other people, and I just feel an unctioning. Old people used to call it unctioning, or like your spirit is saying, I need to deal with something. And sometimes you need to deal with something, and sometimes it can be about you, but sometimes it'll be about other people. So I don't know if you've ever. So I had a Christian associate on here. Oh, you in Kansas? Okay, that's nice. 70. Kansas is pretty though. Kansas is pretty. Y'all got some good barbecue. I like barbecue. Not all the time, but when I want barbecue, I like good barbecue. Y'all barbecue's good. My top favorite is Texas barbecue, and I like Texas barbecue because I like their sauce. So my sauce more leans towards a Texas style sauce, but Kansas City barbecue is good too. I think you guys are more of a molasses based. You're a sweeter barbecue. I think you're more of a molasses based barbecue, if I remember that. Alabama's a vinegar, I think it's vinegar mayonnaise base. It's more vinegary and it's a white sauce. I think you guys are more of a molasses base. Texas is more of a tomato base, but with spice, a little more vinegar, a little more tangy, which I like. I like tang. So I like tang in most of my food. I can do sweet stuff, but I don't like, it's weird, even though I'm borderline diabetic, I'm not like a sugarholic. Every so often I get a craving for sugar, but I'm not like Monty was a sugar fiend. He was like a sugar addict. I'm not a sugar addict. I don't have to have sugar, so I don't necessarily need it. Anyway, back to what I was going to talk about. How you doing? You said you're doing good. All right, good. All right. So I want to talk about some feedback I got, which I'm talking about, but I did take off early last night, and I'm gonna talk about this because I was telling a friend of mine, and she's more family oriented, my friend Lyndon. I'm gonna bring her up in this conversation too, not in a bad way, because she's absolutely very cool, and God put her in my life for a reason, and we're gonna talk about that. But Kathy asked a question, and she said something's going on. I can't wait for the next. She says like I'm wait, and what it is, I think she was picking up on is that, and whether you know that that's what's happening, God is doing something in this. And I didn't realize that was what was going on until I was like, why do I keep getting this unctioning? Things happen in life for a reason. Even the bad stuff that happens to us happens for a reason, especially if we God's children, because it's meant to grow us and get us on a path. And even when the enemy is coming at us, all of that is happening for a reason. And if God is in the details, meaning you, his child, you can best believe that whatever the enemy is doing is not going to work out to the advantage or the way the enemy wants it to work. And God will circumvent it and guide you accordingly. It's kind of a Jonah situation and a Job moment and a Moses moment. All of the things that pattern, and Joseph is an excellent example of what is meant as, and a lot of your name it, claim it Christians, they use this scripture a lot, even though they don't use it in the full way in which it was meant. It's not too far from it, but it says, some people will use it like this: what the devil meant for evil, God will turn it for his good. And that comes from the story of Joseph. And that is when Joseph's brothers threw him in the pit and sold him into slavery. And he went through all the madness he went through in Egypt. In order where the enemy may have been using, and it might have been God. So a lot of times we will look at things that we see as negative events and always think that is the enemy, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is God in the details, and sometimes he's in the details to grow us. So however that situation was meant, whether it was the enemy or whether it was God, the ultimate thing is that Joseph says to his brothers at the table, once he has to see them again, he says, basically, all that they did and all of this where I got to now was meant for the outcome where he was at. Because had those things not happened, he would have most likely not been positioned where he was in Egypt in order to save Egypt and virtually whoever was around that area from famine. Because when he interpreted Pharaoh's dream and Pharaoh was led to put him in charge of basically getting ready for this 7-year famine, He put Joseph in charge. And Joseph was like, I think almost second in command of Pharaoh when you go back and look at it. So everything happens for a reason. So I realized this unctioning I have and the situation with my brother, it triggered something for me to talk about this. And I don't even realize, and I don't even know if my sister-in-law really, well, she probably doesn't. So she had asked me in an email, she's like, are you coming to this event? And I'm like, yeah, no. Well, because originally I told him I was coming to the after gathering, which initially I was going to go into the house and hang out. Then when she asked me about coming to the event, everything woke up. It's like, oh, no, because my biological mother is going to be there. And I was like, I only want to be with that chick for so long. And then they offered like, hey, if you don't have transportation, we can help you with that. I'm like, oh, hell no. You're not going to have me trapped with cray cray for all this time. I just can't mentally, emotionally. I'm done because this woman, she's going to do something. I mean, every time I see her, it is like without fail, it's like a demon. And it comes to the surface and she's going to say something to trigger, piss me off, or it's just her personality. And it's in conjunction with maybe the jealousy, the hatred. I don't know. I can't help her. God bless her. I hope she gets whatever is going on up here right. I'm not going to be in the vicinity, which we're going to get this video is going to talk about that. So as I realized that, it triggered something. And then it kept riding me. Then when I ended up talking to my sister-in-law again, I said, I'm going to send you his gift card. And she's like, well, I was telling, you're telling, her husband, my brother, that, you were going to come to the thing and so forth. He really wants to see you, blah, blah, blah. And we can help. And so the second time, and I told you no the first time. And originally, which was true, I didn't want to text Joe. That's my buddy, and he's got a better car than I do. And I didn't want to text him on, hey, come get me, go to this event, because he could give me a ride all the way out there because it's on the other side of town. And Old Man Red ain't going to make that. Old Man Red, 15 minutes up and back. Otherwise, it check engine light might come on. Old Man Red is up and back. That's it. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. So it kind of like she pushed the envelope and then it pushed something, and then I had a dream. And in the dream, my other brother, this is his brother, the oldest of the two, he appears to me like he's a little boy in the dream. And he says, basically, meaning he woke in the dream, I'm sleeping inside the dream. So it's like I'm sleeping the dream. He wakes me up in the dream and says, we had a dream about Aunt Rose, which is my mother's sister. And I immediately woke up. I physically now woke up out of the dream. And the first thing I do is text my aunt, because if I have dreams, usually God is talking. And I said, first of all, I just had a dream about you. Are you okay? Okay, that's the first thing. Are you okay? And she then proceeds to tell me, I'll be in Phoenix on this date to surprise your brother Chris and your mother for Chris's graduation. He's getting his doctorate. As if I guess I didn't know, but obviously because I don't interact with them on that level, she doesn't communicate it. My aunt will, like I said, she sees the educated people in the family better than the non-educated. That is her views. So like when she got really sick, I didn't know she was sick. I just noticed that she hadn't been posting a lot. And I don't know who all came in. She hadn't been posting a lot of information. So she had a blood clot. And remember, I called her back when I got sick because I had a blood clot in the lung. Well, no, blood clot in the leg, later in the lung, and then I had the tumor they found, the 17-centimeter mass. So I had like a series of events, age 29. But I've been on blood thinners since age 29. I'm lifelong blood thinners, okay? Because on Grumpy's side of the family, it's like every other person draws the short stick for blood clots. And I didn't have mine until age 29. And some of the other people in the family, my cousin Lynette, who's not here anymore, she had her blood clot. I think she had them in high school. And then her mom, my great aunt, my grandmother's sister, Monty's mom's sister, she got an aneurysm where it hit the brain. Hey, Flatbed, what's up? How you doing? Where you at in the country? You in your favorite place, Texas, where you always seem to be when I talk to you? So, are you back home in Florida? So, I when I had the dream, my aunt tends to reach out to the educated people now. No idea what that's about. I'm not going to get into it. And so she did a conference call with, I guess, all of them. I didn't know. She tells me that she's sick back when she first had her blood clots. And I didn't know about this conference call. So I immediately, not knowing that everybody else knew, I was like, I sent a message to the older of the two brothers, my brother Anthony, and I said, hey, I don't know if you guys know, Aunt Rose is in the hospital. Oh, yeah, I was on this conference call. What the hell conference call? But again, it's okay. I'm not really family to you. So it's okay. You didn't call, you didn't text, you didn't tell me anything. Just left Texas. I'm in Salem, Illinois, heading to Indy with some bleaches. Bleaches? What's bleaches? Cause you flatbed, right? What's bleaches? Is that what is that? Is that metal bars? What is? I don't know what bleaches are. Are you meaning like the bleachers, like the stands you sit on at an auditorium? Is that what you're talking about? Let me know if that's what you're talking about. Because I think bleachers, I'm thinking bleachers, like what you sit on. Yeah, bleachers. Okay, you said, I thought it said bleaches. Okay, maybe it's because of when you typed it. I didn't see an R because I'm already spelling bleachers. Oh, let me look at that again. Okay, bleaches. Oh, you did? Okay, I'm like, what the hell is a bleaches? Homie, you gotta be twisted. I'm like, this is something new. I'm like, well, she is flatbed. She might be carrying some kind of metal that I don't know about. Okay, I got you. I got you, homie. You had me twisted. I'm like, what the hell is? You see, I'm up there like, you got me all twisted. I'm like, the hell is a bleachers? I know what bleachers are. Is this something new? Because I'm thinking maybe you meant bleach, but then I'm like, wait a minute, she flatbed. She ain't gonna be carrying bleach on an open flatbed. Oh my God, that's right. Flatbed, as old as I'm starting to get, girl, my spelling is jacked. I'm like, thank you, God, for autocorrect. They be calling me at work with stuff that I used to be able to just, and I'm like, how the hell you spell that? What they asked me? One of them was the other day. I can't remember what he said something. We should be cataracts. I couldn't spell it to save my life. I was like, and because we can't go out to Google because we're government based, they really have blocked. Only thing we can do is go to government site. They only have us like use Google. I'm like, my autocorrect. I'm like, oh. I'm trying to spell cataracts. I'm going to Medicare.gov, trying to put it on there. I'm like, wow. It took a minute. And I had to find an article, and I was hoping, okay, maybe the website will correct me. And thank God it did. So then I highlight and paste it back into my database, girl. So it's a hot mess. But I'm getting old. Anyway, back to the story. So when I dealt with that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to get upset about this. In conjunction with my aunt, I'm just like, because this is who she is. This is new. I don't know what this is. I done gone out there to her house, fixed her computer. When she came here, brought her laptop, I fixed your computer. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have a college degree, but I can fix your computer. I'm just saying. Even Joe called me. I still got some tech skills, not as good as they were because I'm not in the industry as much as I was. But I got a laptop. I done took it apart, put it together a couple times. Actually, I got it apart again, and you put some memory in it. And I just been lazy. Put some memory in it and run it, upgrade it. Now I got one back there I got to work on, but I just have been challenged. I haven't done it because I need Windows 10 and I need a new battery for it. It's older, but it's a nice 17-inch laptop with Bluetooth. Not Bluetooth, Blu-ray. And I need to put it back together. I don't know. I might end up taking that to Best Buy because it's like, I know I'm going to be fighting with it for a minute. And I can fix it. It takes so much time. But I need a Windows 10. I need a CD of it because it was upgrading and then it didn't restart because the battery was dead and it just didn't restart. So I need to order a battery for it. I need Windows 10 disk to reload it because it's holes in at a window and I know Windows 10 needs to be loaded. So it needs to be booted from Windows 10 and then all of Windows 10 needs to be loaded to upgrade it. Probably needs good cleaning. I don't know. I'll deal with it later. I got 3 laptops in there. right now. So, and I really, 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 really want an Apple laptop. I really want an Apple laptop. I would love, although it's like a car, so I'm not gonna get it right now. I would love the Apple 16-inch. I always wanted the 17-inch, but they don't make them anymore. 16-inch MacBook Pro. I've been wanting one. I've been wanting a MacBook forever. So I really, 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 really want a MacBook Pro, but I need a car over a MacBook Pro. So, back to the story at hand. So, and I'm leading up to something. So when Kathy asked, like, well, she's like, what's going on? Something is going on because I can't wait to see what this next conversation. And what I took it back when I looked at her comment at the time when she said it, I was dealing with just the issue. But when I went back and looked at her comment, I think even whether she realized what her comment was saying is, in my humble opinion, and how I took it, what's God doing? Because this is happening, this is coming to the surface for a reason. It's just like, I can't remember if it was PJ or Mandisa. Somebody was in here, and the day we started talking about the childhood damages and the issues with parents, she said, I need this. I'm dealing with an issue with my mother. And PJ, forgive me if it's not you and it was Mandisa. I know it was somebody in here. And I'm dealing with an issue with my mom. I'm dealing with this right now. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then afterwards, I got a phone call from someone who's a trucker who I know, who is an abuse victim, a sexual abuse victim, and other abuses. I didn't even know about the other abuses until we started talking. I knew about the sexual abuse because when we first started talking, they shared that with me, and we talked about it. I don't remember if it was me, her, and Danielle, because I introduced this individual to Danielle as well by phone. They never met in person, and so that came up, and then I just had people reaching out, and then there's other conversations. Even in my job right now, one of the young ladies who's there, I won't talk about her position, I can tell there's mental health issues, and I can tell they come from her family, and she's part of a particular culture that I don't know what it is to me, and this is just me. I believe it's culture with them. They're a very close-knit group. Family at all cost. I mean, whoo, all costs. Even very abusive situations, they will still interact with crazy behind family. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit because my question is, Grumpy used to have a saying, is it profitable to you? And I'm not talking profit money. While people may bless you financially, people can bless you in other ways that aren't profitable in money. A lot of times we look at profit and we look at it as dollars, but profit ain't always dollars. Sometimes people can speak into your life. Sometimes you can learn from people. And so that's profitable. Some people call them mentors. Some people may just have people that you get things from. My best friend, between her father and her, I've learned, I think I gathered, whether she knew it or not, some strong coping mechanisms with where I'm at in my life today and where I was at in my life back then when I first met her. And she may not have realized it, but I picked some things up from her. Linda, for instance, Linda and I met at University of Phoenix. I was like her team lead. I kind of trained Linda, and if they had questions, they would come to me, okay? Even though it was an unofficial team lead, that's what I was. I was training the supervisor. She said, we asked that woman stuff. She had no clue. She said, we asked her. She didn't know. She said, so you know what? We would be like, let's wait for Shannon to come in. She said, you was really our supervisor. We're just going to let you, I'm going to let you know that today. I'm like, yeah, but they wouldn't put in positions. It was far few in between of us in positions at this company. I'm just saying. And so, correct. What's that old saying? Give a man a fish, he'll eat for that moment. And teach a man to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. So, and that's the truth of the situation. Is so you people that are profitable, you can be put around you in order to bless you. And so for me, example, I'm going to use Linda, and I'm going to talk about this later, but I'm going to use it now. I'm a very, even though I'm sarcastic as hell, y'all, I didn't really realize that about myself. I never really knew I was sarcastic. I didn't know. I really did not know I was sarcastic. But it was another associate of mine back in high school that said, well, later on in life, I think we almost grown at this point. She like, Shani, you're sarcastic. No, no, I'm not. And I'm arguing with her. Girl, I'm not sarcastic. Yeah, dude, you're very sarcastic. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not sarcastic. Shannon, you're sarcastic, and I am. I am extremely sarcastic, and I did not know. And I can be sarcastic mean. So I can be sarcastic, very, very mean, very, very, and again, because generational curses on both sides of my family, on my mother's side, they can be vicious. On my father's side, they just can be dicks. So you combine the two, I can be extra special. So I have to watch it, and that's something I learned because she brought to my attention, and she wasn't bringing it in a mean way. She talking about sarcastic funny, and I can't be Linda, because that's what Linda would say. She said, girl, we would love for you to come in because we get the biggest kick out of you. I i didn't know, y'all. And I would go in there just like doing my job, and Linda would tell me something, and I would go, "Are you crapping me?" And I didn't use the word crap. I was using the sh word because I'm gonna say that was my favorite cuss word. That's why I use the word shiznit, because it is my favorite cuss word. I'm just gonna say that's my favorite cuss word. There's a go-to cuss word that is your go-to. Everybody got the go-to. That's my go-to cuss word, and that usually would be my statement. I don't even remember saying it, but she told me this is what you said. Hold on. Hold on, Flatbed. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that because I think that's good. But what we have to realize is, so there's people placed in your life by God, and there's other people placed in your life by the enemy. You just got to be discerning of which one. Discernment comes from Him, so that you know what you're dealing with. Because there's times when you meet people and they may show you one thing, but they are totally different. And even in your family. So even though a person has a title mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever, brother, sister, God has to give you discernment of things. And He needs to give you that discernment. So example, Monty introduced me to the other 3 kids. So I've met all 4 of siblings that I know. So I met the 3 that he had with the one woman in Plainview. The ones that I went out there, and they had one brother had the youngest of the 3 had an issue supposedly with the sister said, because they don't really talk to me. The 2 boys won't talk. I'm like, other than when I met them at the time, and they're just weird. Just the sister, I think she's sweet, but they're so close knit, those 3, that they're gonna support each other. And so I'm a non-existent person. So that's why when I said, hey, I need a car, and she said, oh, we all have a car, but the youngest is gonna have a problem. I was like, and then I'm kind of like, well, I really need a car, as I was gonna bring the car back, and Joe would have helped me get the car back. But then I'm sitting up here, and my one friend said, Shannon, let them have it, because they're not mature enough. And then I start thinking about it, and I was still kind of interacting with her. I do think she's Christian, but is this person profitable to you? And when I say profit, I'm not talking just to get the car, any of that. I'm talking about they're considerate of who you are as a person. I was considerate of who they were as people, and because honestly, I'm the oldest. I could have just said I'm taking the car. I didn't. I didn't want any dissension in the ranks. So I'm like, hey guys, because if one of them might have needed it and more than me or something like that, I've been like, oh, I still have a way. I'll make a way. But when she said all 3, I was like, okay. But when I'm thinking, even in the interaction with them, I was doing everything to guard them from the crazy of Monty's family on his mother's side. I didn't know the father's side fully. I knew one person on the father's side. And then when I met the father's side, I was like, ooh, wee. I see what kind of demons you was dealing with, bruh. So, we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to go all the way there. So, as I have realized, is that we sometimes have to speak into people's lives. And so, people also speak into ours. So, are they profitable to you? And in my conversation with actually about 3 or 4 people right now, I have realized people sometimes let folks in your life who aren't profitable and who actually bring you more strife than they do profit. And I'm not talking money. I'm talking about speaking into your life. Vice versa, you can speak into theirs. Let me give you an example. And I'm going to use Linda again. So I'm a very serious person. I'm cut and dry. I'm black and white. What you see is what you get. I'm a what you see is what you get kind of sister. That's just who I am. When I dealt with Grumpy's people when he died and they were acting a fool, I said, wait, let's back the train up. And you sit up here trying to lie to me and make up a whole bunch of stuff. I'm on the phone. I'm like, you did meet me because I met them in person. You met me, right? I'm pretty cut and dry. One of y'all was at the table like me doing like this, trying to figure me out. There's nothing to figure out. What I lay out is who I am. You can either like it, lump it, or leave it. So whatever you want, you deal with it. But who I am, I am what you get. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to throw you the peace sign and keep it pushing. I don't typically, I don't tip to my loo. One of that is because I'm not a person who likes people who bullcrap me. So therefore, I'm not going to be a person that bullcrap you because I don't want to deal with nobody. And when I deal with those kind of people and I see it, it is probably within a very short amount of time that I'm going to be done dealing with you. I've had some associates that I've met along the way, and you get one time, by the second time, we're done. Usually you don't get to a third time with me. I'm very cut and dry, just point blank period. That's just who I am. So, and it takes a little bit for you to get into for you to get into what I call my inner circle. So as I told one associate who is gradually, she's really aged to be my daughter. And I'm going to say she's more of an associate right now. And I think she's a sweet person. She's been through some stuff. But for me, you're an associate. And so there was a point where she got upset with me because I started speaking to her about some spiritual stuff. Now she's in a different area. She's in a lifestyle. But she was getting into things what they call chakras, things that are kind of more Middle Eastern. And I said, because she had put like a little thumbnail up. And I said, do you know what that is? Oh, I know what I said. I saw your new icon. Do you know what that is? Because most people don't know. All people just think, oh, it's spiritual. And I'm spiritual. And we're spiritual. And it's okay. So a lot of people don't know that some of the things they're bringing in, those things have demonic ties. So if I know that they are demonic and I know you're inviting certain spirits there that aren't good, and I don't say nothing to you, A, there's going to be blood on my hand when I stand before him. And B, what kind of friend am I or what kind of person am I if I don't warn you? And then also I'm licensed minister. So what kind of minister am I if I don't warn you? Now you can like it, lump it and don't like it. I had another associate of mine who is Christian. But again, the Bible has a saying, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So if you don't know, and I'm not going to say I know everything, but if I do know, I need to share it with you. And that individual, she got mad. We're talking now, but she got mad. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling this because I love you. I love you as a human being. And I'm not talking about I love you in any kind of weird way. I love you as a human being. If I don't care about another human being enough to warn them when they're getting into something, it's bad. So the conversations that are happening right now, I'm like, okay, Lord, this is weird. I have this weird unctioning going on to talk about stuff and to talk about stuff that's happened in my life and others around me that's dark, because a lot of people are walking around trying to deal with this stuff and they don't know how to do it. Some of them are walking around and you're walking in, what's the word I want to use? Dysfunction. And you're staying there because you don't know how to get out of it. 2, it's hard for you to look in the mirror and face it. And you need to deal with those dysfunctions. Do I have residue? Absolutely. One of the obesity issues I have is residue. When I saw my brother, he's a big guy too. We're both. He's got to be over 400. We're both 400 plus. The third one, the other one, he did the weight loss surgery, the sleeve. because to try to control his, and he was at the 400 range. So I think he was at the 400 range too. Our cuckoo mom, both she was over obese all her life. And I believe all of this is the coping mechanism from the dysfunction and generational curse in the family. This is our stronghold. This is an area of stronghold. And I'm like I can cook, but I also like good food. But food is also my comfortable spot. Food is like a glass of wine to me. If I want to chill out, I want a good meal. That is a coping mechanism. That's kind of the drug of choice. And now you got to try to rewire that to undo this and or do the surgery plus rewire. So I realize that unlike some people who just function into dysfunction without realizing what the issues are, there's other stuff too. Don't get me wrong. Temper, I won't even talk about my temper issues. That's between me and the Lord. Cause yeah, there's a couple different situations where I probably should have been in handcuffs. I laid hands on, and I didn't know where the rage came from. I mean, a rage and an anger that wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was bad. It was very bad. And when you can step back there and see that, Monty's other children, one of them, he doesn't for that it's his normal, and he functions in it, and I think he gets off on it. And part of that is the inherited generational curse, but part of that tells me there's some other stuff going on that is deeper. The other one has a sexual addiction. So you see the generational curses that weave their way through. Profitable. And I want to get to this because it's critical. Grumpy used to say to me, if people aren't profitable to you, why are you dealing with them? Okay? Now, this is not, granted, he had other issues, but it preaches. Okay? And we're not talking profit money. We're talking profitable, like I said, they speak into your life, vice versa. You shouldn't just be give. I want to absorb from you and there's something about you that should be able to give back. So like for me and Linda, I can share on spiritual stuff and I can share on generational curses. She has some in her line too, but for the most part, like my other buddy who has the crazy nephews and stuff, hers aren't as weird or as messed up as his. And he has a deeper set of it in his line, okay? And violence, craziness. And like I said, culturally, I just notice his culture tends to, and I ain't gonna say all, but man, when I interact with them, even with family members that I know that are married into that particular culture, when you talk to them, you just be like this, hey, that's a lot of drama. And when they marry into that culture, they're married into that crazy family. And everything with that is, whoo, it's one of them. And like the young lady at my job, when I was listening to her, she done told us about, she had dreams about killing her mother. I was sitting up here like this. And don't get me wrong, because I used to think really foul things about cray cray, but I didn't have dreams. I sat there and was wide awake. And just the craziness made me think of bad things like that. But she talking about she dreaming how she murdered her mom and that the police came and all this other stuff. And I'm like, wow. Because for you to have that in your dream environment, that tells you the depth of the dysfunction in the household. She just recently told us something about a dog dying, and the whole story she told me, either you lying or your sister's lying to you. She talking about the dog. The sister had seen the dog like 2 hours before. Then all of a sudden, the sister called her and told her that the dog is dead and that there's flies and eggs in this dog's mouth. Do you know how long that dog would have to be laying outside for all of that to happen? Somebody's lying. So either your sister's lying to you or you making this up. It's too weird for me because all of that to happen with I used to have dogs. For that dog to have the flies, the fly eggs and all that, that dog's been dead longer than a 2-hour period of time outside. Longer. Okay? A lot longer than what you telling me. So something else was going on. What you saying ain't making sense. But again, function and dysfunction in families And based on some of how she is right now, she's going to counseling for anger issues. I think she's even mentioned some suicide stuff. Um, at least I kind of overheard her talking to somebody else at work. And I'm like, ooh, this baby is, and she's only 23 years old. Baby messed up. And this generation is really different. This new generation, don't get me wrong, some folks in my generation is messed, in a lot of ways why they're messed up is because of my generation. And it really has come downhill, okay? So, in getting to the profitable and not profitable, here's what's going on. I had a conversation, I've had a couple, in the past week or so regarding all the dysfunction, the whole family thing that was triggered. And one person had reached out to me specifically, and they were telling me they were taking care of a family member. They were helping them because that family member had helped them out hugely. Well, the family member and some other family members decided that they were going to move, and they would move to another state. They now are using most of their retirement income, living with some other family who, in my humble opinion, basically that family was basically, what's the word I want to use? It was a setup. I don't even know any way to make it pretty. This other family group basically was manipulating this older individual for their money. And person is knowledgeable, you ain't stupid, but for whatever reason you decide to move away from this particular family member. Come to find out, as this person began to unveil their childhood, there was a lot of dysfunction. There was allowed abuses, more so by this person's spouse. But I'm going to be honest, a lot of times those people are very aware of what's going on as well. Okay. Now, this individual, this older person that they were helping, may have some health challenges, possibly cancer related. And they're like, I don't know if I should interact, reach back out, blah, blah, blah. And I also realized when I talked to this individual, they're like, I don't have a lot of friends. I really don't have no family. The childhood was a different childhood. And they were basically raised by grandparents, which unfortunately neither grandparent was blood related because they had adopted this individual's biological father. So there's no blood, supposedly, between the people who raised her. And so, unfortunately, some of her treatment was bad. Okay. And I'm not going to say just because she was adopted by them. I just believe that some people are just foul and shouldn't have kids. Mother. But God had to get you on this planet, and God allows you to go through a journey for a reason. Sometimes the journey is not what we want. I remember I went through a massive depression asking God, why did you let me be born into these two families? Because things were so foul and my childhood was so jacked up and both my parents are messed up. Why did you let me be born to these people? And what I felt in my spirit, in my sense that God was saying was, I got you here for a reason and I have a purpose for you. This is the journey and the path that I've allowed you to go through. Joseph could have thought the same thing. Lord, why did you let me be born into this family with these crazy brothers of mine who threw me into this pit, sold me into slavery? Why would you bring me this route? And sometimes the journey we have to take is not the easiest. Jonah could have asked the same question. I don't want to go over here and minister to my enemies. I don't want to be bothered with them. He could have asked the same question. But part of the journey was necessary. One, because we need those stories today in order to say, hey, I'm not alone in this issue. But ultimately, I believe that sometimes we believe that family, we have to have them so that we won't be lonely. And we also sometimes bring in other people who aren't blood related to us into our lives so that we won't be quote unquote lonely. And sometimes we tolerate that. I don't know if you remember, I don't know who it was who gave me about the girl in Texas. I think I talked about it a few weeks back. Not in Texas, in Mexico, who was killed by the friends. And the baby was a pretty young baby. I mean, pretty. And I'm thinking to myself when I saw, like I said, when I saw the video, it was so disturbing, and how that girl beat her like she was a rag doll. And the fact that you later find out she stayed even after that beating with these people. Why because right then and there, I would have packed up and been gone. But I believe that sometimes, as I said before, people sit themselves in seats of abuse, either because, oh, that's my family member, oh, they've been a friend, oh, they helped me out with this or that. But sometimes you have to realize, not all, what's that I was saying? All that glitters is not gold. So all that is shiny is not always gold. It's always not always good. There can be things that present themselves as if they are good, but there's an alternate agenda, okay? You got to be really discerning. And I see people who, they put themselves in really crazy butt situations. My buddy, he's got a nephew. That boy is violent and mental. And God bless him. Like I said, my heart goes out to him. But my friend is 60 plus years old. And even back when he first got him and he was a younger boy, you're too old to deal, and you're not equipped to deal with the level of mental challenges this child has. And honestly, I think some of it was mental and some of it somebody need to lay their hands on and whoop his behind. You're trying to rear up somebody who crazy, like certain other folks rear their kids. And sometimes you just need to haul off and whoop somebody's butt. But oftentimes we bring people in our lives and we think, oh, I'm going to be lonely. Do not think that, oh, I have to have a crazy person or an abusive person or a family member or a person you calling a friend who's not a friend in your life to not be lonely. I'm going to give you a little story, and then I'm going to give you an example. China McClain, I don't know if y'all know who she is. She was an actress. I think she did some Disney stuff. I didn't know. I saw her in, I think it was Black Lightning, and I didn't know who she was, and then she's Christian also. But she did I guess it was on her channel. They've shown it on here. It's been several years ago. And she talked about, because she's pretty much left the actress Hollywood life and just strong Christian, I guess. And she was talking about her talking about God and that she was getting some pushback on it in social media. And so she's like, hey, I'm talking about God now and I'm getting this pushback. She said, so I'm going to give an analogy that my father shared with us. And this, when I heard it, I'm like, that preaches. I'm going to share this. Her father, or she gives, and this is the example, and I'm going to give it the way she said it. She says, so I'm hanging out with a friend. And they're at my house and we chilling and we're just having a good time. And I said, girl, I'm going to take my dog to the bathroom in the backyard. Okay? And I'm just summarizing this my way. She said, I'm gonna take my dog to the bathroom in the backyard. She says, so I go to head to the backyard and I see there's a snake in the backyard. And I'm like, come on back in here, dog. And I close the door and I go in the room. I go back in the room and I sit down, and my friend says, oh, I thought you were in the backyard. Yeah, I decided not to go. Okay. Our friend goes, well, I'm going to go in the backyard. And I just look at her and I go, oh, okay, go ahead and go back in the backyard. My friend goes to the backyard. She gets bit by the snake. She comes back in the house and she's holding her arm and she's like, oh my God, there's a snake in the backyard and I got bit by it. And she's like, yeah, I know. And her friend's like, well, why didn't you tell me the snake was in the backyard? That right there is one of the best examples of our relationship with Christ. If I don't tell people there's a snake in the backyard, you're going to get bit. And I'm guilty because I know the snake is back there. So I know the situations that people go through because I've gone through them. And if I don't tell you how, hey, Shannon is mentally coped with the madness she was in, how Shannon has got free of the crazy madness she was in, and how I get through my days with the crazy madness, then guess what? I'm letting you get bit by the snake in the backyard. If I don't tell you an enemy is at play in all of this, then I'm just as bad as somebody who lets you go in the backyard and get bit knowing that the snake is in the backyard. That's sick. It's twisted and it's crazy as hell. The sad part is you have a group of people, they don't want you to tell you the snake is in the backyard. For whatever reason, they just want to get bit. And if you enjoy that, then enjoy that. But if you're somebody who right now you're contemplating, yeah, I know my family's crazy. I know this friend of mine's a butthole. But, I don't want to be lonely. I had another associate. Here's another story. And she told me this. I've never been married. But I thought this was an interesting story. So she was married to a Middle Eastern man. And she was Croatian and Italian mix, okay? She had 2 kids by this man. And I think there was some abuse in the household with the relationship. She knew she needed to leave him. But what she was thinking, well, who's going to take the trash out and who's going to do all these duties? And she's thinking she didn't want to be alone. We really need to weigh in the balance what that looks like. And we also need to pray that God gives us what I call people that are profitable to you. He'll bring to you those people who should be in your life, and he will help get those people that shouldn't out. I used to go, I'm hanging with some friends, and I had all these so-called that I was calling friends, and friends is a very loose word. A former associate of mine used to say, her mom always said, you call a lot of people friends that aren't friends, they're just associates. And she's absolutely right. As I started getting older, my circle of people I interacted with got smaller. And right now, honestly, my what I would call friends probably is on one hand. Okay? One hand. Also, I am single. I don't find myself lonely. Last night I got off work, and it's something my best friend taught me. I got off early for a reason. I was like, I need to chill. There's times I don't want to be bothered with people. I want to just be chill. I love hanging out sometimes with Joe and Linda, and we have another friend, Victoria. Love hanging out with them, very sweet people. But there's times when I don't even want to be bothered with them. I need me, myself, and I time. And sometimes I need me, myself, I, and Jesus time, okay? Because I need to step back. I need to relax. When you interact with other people, you have your other parts of your personality that come to the table. We all have different faces we wear. We have the face that we hang out with our friends and we joke and we laugh or we talk about stuff. And then we have the times when we have a whole nother character. Shannon, I'm very serious. I can be sarcastic, but I'm very usually serious. And my mind is always thinking on I'm analytical too, extremely analytical, obnoxiously analytical. And I analyze and I see situations and I discern. And I thank God for the discernment because that came from him, because I see things deeper. I'm not a surface level person. There's people who are surface level. And like my friend Linda, I love her, but she's more surface level. Joe he can sometimes wade in both pools, but he doesn't like depth because he doesn't like to deal with hard things. If it's not, he stresses easily. He doesn't deal with hard things. He doesn't deal with conflict well. He's surface level. Me, I'm going to look at the situation. We're going to deal with it because I've had to. And I realize that the things I've gone through have made me that way. So when I see situations such as this young lady who was reaching out to me about bringing a family or interacting with a family member where things did not end well, And that to me was kind of a user in their own way. It did help, but also used. At the same time, I'm like, this individual has made choices. I'm sorry for how Grumpy died. He reached out to me, told me he had a procedure. I was like, okay. Um, Females can be that way too, but yeah, there's a very surface level. Men don't like to deal with stuff. It has to be very logical, and not I'm gonna say all. It has to be very logical. Um, they don't want to deal. They don't deal with emotions. So that's they don't deal with emotions well, even though they have them. And in America, the sad part about most males is a lot of their interactions are, what's the word I want to use, egotistical. So what they try to do is they try to cover up for their masculinity with ego. So I'm a man, I'm tough, I'm cool. And so they don't like to show emotions, which was Monty's thing. Grumpy did not, he tried not to, but there were a couple times when me and Monty had some hard times. Monty cried. Not he walked away, but I could tell he was crying. With the situation with the aunt and uncle here in Arizona when he was staying with them, and he told me, I don't like chicken. I don't know if I think I told that story a while back. And he was staying with them and was just really like a insolent child. And a brat. He called himself a brat, and he thought it was cute and funny. Being a brat is not an attractive thing. There's nothing funny. There's nothing cute about being a brat. A brat is an insolent child. That means you're an a-hole. You're a butthole. And for you to think that's cute or funny, the young lady I'm talking about at work, she says, oh, I'm a brat. And the way she says it, as if this is a plus. And I'm thinking, oh no, sweetheart. But I realize when you have those kind of people, that behavior, it's just like, I love my aunt, but because she was the favored child, she had some false expectations of life. So when life happened to her and marrying the cray cray that she was married to, and this ninja started acting a plumb butt fool, she damn near had a nervous breakdown, point blank period. I saw her legs and she had like pock marks. I'm like, what's going on with your legs? My aunt, my mother's sister, is a very pretty woman. My aunt is very attractive. That was one of the things that used to piss my mother off when I was a baby, and we would go to my grandfather's club. Maybe I'd go for trick or treat, or she stopped by there for something. They would ask, was I my aunt's child? Because, oh, she's a pretty baby. They wouldn't ask, was she the fat lady's kid, the other daughter's kid? No, they asked, was she my aunt's child? Was I my aunt's child because I was a pretty child? They would not ask and that used to piss my mother off because there was already the jealousy and her own level of damage. Like I said, it was like, I can't have a pretty child. And I used to remember her saying that when I was a kid, like, I can't have a pretty baby. That's how messed up she was. That's why I said part of me feels sorry for her, because I realized that sister is crazy because she was so broken and damaged. And this is what her mother did. It was mainly her mom. My grandfather, he was suffering his own level of abuses from my grandmother and her mother, my mother's great grandmother, who was alive. So my grandmother, his wife, and my great grandmother, that lady, the great grandmother, I stayed away from her. She used to hit me in the back with a cane when I was a little girl. She was evil. Oh, I would just stay away. And I was a quiet kid. I'm sit down, quiet. I have some old pictures that my biological mother had sent me, I guess, when she was just cleaning out, just sent me the Lewis stuff. And there's an old picture where I was sitting in the living room on the floor, sitting down watching TV. I'm not moving. You know how these kids be running around acting? No, that wasn't me. Like I said, I was a good kid. My grandfather, when I never leave, when they say, what are you doing? My mother's nickname is Bunny. Why are you doing this, Bunny? Why'd you kick this kid out? And she says, she's a good kid. He goes, I know. What's wrong with you? I was a good kid. I didn't smoke weed. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't screwing. I wasn't doing. I literally was going to school, coming home, and being her slave. And being beat on like a punching bag for whatever her emotional issues are, physically and verbally. She was horrible. And so when I see that, I realize that person is cuckoo. And people will think, how do you feel sorry for the same way for their pervy stepfather? Something's wrong with somebody like that. Something's wrong with them. And you feel sorry because something mentally is wrong with you. But at the same time, where I'm at in my life because of those things, there's a level of discernment and there's a level of what I'm willing to deal with. When there's also a level in what I'm going to deal with people. So some people out here, I noticed that when they're abuse victims, they just keep going into abuses. And especially if they allow it, especially in families. My buddy, one of my buddies, like I said, that nephew's living at the house right now. He's had one nephew pull a gun on him. The other one tried to stab him. He's still interacting with these people. One of them is physically living in his house. His sister has cussed him out, called him the F name. He brought her back in the house. The other brother, he got one brother in there, calls him a-hole all the time. He got his foot cut off and he being a dick. He's in the house. All these folks living in the house together. And it's just straight flipping madness. No baby. And like I said, sometimes it's like this individual, she's a trucker, and she's like, I don't want to be, and I think part of it is lonely, because I thought about it when I was listening to her, but she's not the only one I've ever heard this from. Danielle's deceased, she's gone on. But Danielle, the dude she was with, I was like, this dude's sorry as hell. He's sorry. Sweet. I met him. He was never rude to me, but I could tell he sucked. Big win. Danielle's taking care of this dude. He had an alcohol issue and I don't know what other issues. Because sometimes we don't want to be, quote unquote, what we consider lonely. Guys, if you are there, and you, especially if you come out of abusive situations, A, you need God to show you you. But B, you need to pray, God, put people around me who are profitable to me. And when I say profitable, I'm not talking money. I'm talking people who speak into your lives, people who keep you in a healthy spot. We're not meant to be alone. So that I'm not telling you to be. Now, for me, I have zero desire for a mate. I'm at that point now. I know who I am. I'm very set in my ways. And so I know I cannot bring in something, because I'm not going to bend. The angel of the Lord is going to have to talk to me and tell me, oh boy, is somebody I'd have to marry or settle down with. Because for me, it'd be like, dude, I am not going to bend. I'm not looking to flex, to interact with them. And when you go into a relationship, you guys have to flex. You just do. You have to flex to fit, because you're going to have to flex to interact, because your personalities are coming together, and you've got to be able to be flexible in who your personalities are. Otherwise, it is not going to work. That relationship going to go to hell in a handbasket. You need to pray for people who are profitable to you. And everybody needs them, because we're not supposed to be alone. When it says man's not supposed to be alone, it's not really just talking about just relationship between a husband and a wife. Because if that was the case, when Paul starts dealing with marriage and singleness, he would say, hey, for those of you who need a spouse, you got to do that. For those of you who can be single like me, you can do that. The interaction of man's not to be alone means humans are going to have to interact with humans. Point blank period. We're not supposed to be alone. There were animals, so we're not talking about a dog or a cat. We're not talking about, there were animals when Adam was here. Adam was the first one put here. Eve had not been created yet in the physical realm. She was created in the spiritual realm, but she wasn't created in the physical realm yet. So he's not talking about animals. He's talking about another human being. And so we are to interact. However, people, you don't have to sit and think lonely means being by yourself without a spouse. Lonely can also be just interacting with other people, and you do need other humans to interact with. You need them. It's just normal. If you're alone, and this is why a lot of people went off the cap during the COVID time, and people had a lot of mental issues, because isolation and being by yourself, it can have its own issues and challenges. Me, because I have been kind of a loner all my life. Monty was somewhat of a loner. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I talk to people, and I have, certain people. When I say lone, I can actually physically be by myself without being bothered with folks, without a problem. Like some people, they get lonely. I'm not, but I have friends of mine who can be in the middle of a crowd and be lonely. I've met those too. Other abuse victims I know too. I have a very close friend. Actually, she was the one who helped me when I was sick. and I love her dearly. And she said sometimes, I remember a long time ago, she said, I can be in I love flatbed. I'm not mad at you, flatbed. She said, I can be in a crowd, Shannon, and be lonely. And so that's a whole nother level of stuff. But we are to interact. What we want to do is pray God puts profitable people around us and not people. Don't think that you have to invite people who are going to put you down, people who are going to, oh, I just have this person in my life and I got to invite, I have to keep craziness so I won't be lonely. I won't be by myself. Because you can still be by yourself around other people, especially if those people are not really for you. Because there's people who are not for you. They're just not. And one of the reasons, Flatbed, you're probably a trucker too. And that's one of the reasons I actually went into trucking. Training students, I was okay with it. I would have enjoyed it, but I used to get some crazy students. But I like one girl asked me, why don't you team? Because I want you on and off my truck. I don't want to be around you all the time. Because eventually you will most likely get on my nerves. Vice versa, I probably will get on yours, and vice versa, the other side of my personality is going to come to the table because you're going to piss me off. I've learned that it is okay to be by yourself. And I'm not saying all the time, because we do need to interact with other humans. We're built that way to where we're supposed to interact with other people. However, Grumpy hit it on the head, if they're profitable to you. Some people are not profitable to you. Some people have their own agendas and they're just not profitable. Now, again, not money. I'm talking about the things they bring to the table. Let me use Linda. During COVID, I'm having a lot of dreams. So I'm already dealing with heavy stuff that God's putting on me. I'm seeing dreams of food issues, which we are having, and I think they're going to get worse here in the near future. I'm seeing, like I said, I had a dream about the whole chicken thing, and I'm like sitting here laughing now because I didn't know that there was going to be a bird flu. And all I knew was me and my mother, crazy mom, is in a dream. We're marching a chicken out to the trash can. We're both cooks, and the chicken was a raw chicken, and we're holding it, marching it out to the trash can. I'm like, what's this about? Shortly thereafter, we now have bird flu and all these exorbitant prices for food. Right now, going to the grocery store, child, you could spend a fortune. I was starting to save food for me, like thinking Grumpy might be here. Well, right now in my house, honestly, the only thing, and if I get my backyard, I need to get back in the backyard and start messing with my garden again. If I had my garden, I don't need a grocery store for anything other than eggs. I don't need to go to the grocery store at all. I can basically shop from my pantry here. I have 3.5 shelving units. And I'm talking industrial size shelving units full of food. Canned food, boxed food. I got tons. Yeah, well, hold on. Let's say about four. 4 shelving units full of food. 1, 2, 3, 4. A smaller one, but yeah. And even I'm going to count 4 because I have some in the cabinet. So I got enough food. I can shop for food right here. If tomorrow I didn't have money, like even when that downsizing of the job happened, I only had to go get fresh produce. And I really didn't have to do that if I didn't want to. I have beans. I have rice. I got well over, I think, 100 and some odd pounds of rice. I've got probably over 50 pounds, close to 50 pounds of beans. Dry beans. So I can basically eat off myself as far as here. Now my water supply is down. I got to get that back up again. And I'm telling you, if I was in a house, I'd have me a rainwater system. I want to be as self-sufficient as possible. I know that sounds strange. It does, because I always was somebody who had, I'm going to say I always had supply food because, like I said, I come from Depression era grandparents. So both of my grandparents, because of that, and growing up around them, you always had. You had toilet paper, you had dry goods, and you had canned goods. Hold on. Food is just not that important to me. Sometimes I need to remind myself to eat something. Okay, you're probably tiny, but you are a flatbed. So I get, because you have to be. You can't be my size and do flatbed. You could not be my size and do flatbed. And the great aunt by, or the aunt by marriage that I talked about, who brought to attention my things about my mother. She was an RN, and she would say, her name was Miss Pearlie, and Miss Pearlie would say, she said, because she could eat, she was RN, so she worked at the Air Force Base out in here in Phoenix as a civilian nurse, and she would eat dry, when she smoked a cigarette, dry toast, and she always had a pot of beans. That's what she had, and she was like that. She didn't. Food was not important. Some people it is, some people it isn't. I realize food for me is also a coping mechanism, and I like good food. So A, I'm a cook. B, I like good food, and C, it's a coping mechanism, and it's tied to, I think, the abuses in the household 100%. So some people, like I went to see, we're not blood related, but they're like family to me. And I went to go see them. And one of the kids, who I know and love him dearly, he smokes marijuana. That's his thing. He's gotten hooked on it. Grew up in a Christian household. Has questions about Christianity. No longer believes. And I think that also is a way to conveniently keep in your sin. So when people tell you all of a sudden they grew up a certain way, but they in a certain sin, a lot of time that's their way, so they stay in their sin. Because if you acknowledge God, eventually you're going to have to come to a point of a man in the mirror moment where you're going to have to say, I can't sin in these areas, and those sins have to stop. It's the same way Grumpy had to pray about his sexual addiction, because he knew that was, to him, one of his strongholds. There were bigger strongholds, but that was one of the more prevalent ones for him. And some of the other ones he could not see, because he was so entrenched in the self-centeredness and the narcissistic behavior. He could not deal with that part of it, because Grumpy never ever realized he was narcissistic. That I can tell you. That brother was narcissistic to hell. Never realized it. Trump doesn't, and actually I told him and Trump, they like brothers to me. Trump doesn't realize he's narcissistic. Trump wants to be the center of attention, and he's narcissistic as hell. But he doesn't realize he's narcissistic. Trump thinks he's normal, because he grew up in dysfunction. Dysfunctional people, some of them, they're abnormal is normal. My buddy, with all that family drama that's in his household, he don't realize that's not abnormal. The other day, oh, so-and-so's getting a job at this and that. His family tends to get jobs. They lose jobs, and then they use the system. He's done it. Other siblings done it. He's only had maybe 2 or 3 siblings that don't. He doesn't realize that's a generational curse. He doesn't realize it's an issue. For him, it's normal. And I think one person that he knew brought it to his attention, and he got pissed. Because we don't want to face the truth of our stuff. And an associate of his, I don't know what transpired, but he checked him, and boom, bam, boom, he said, bro, dude, look, don't even come to me with this. You and your whole family, you don't hold jobs, and you always work on the system. You hold a job for a little bit, you use the system. You use each other, this is what you do. My buddy got mad, but I'll be honest, I just said, because everything that man said was true. Looking from the outside in, everything he's telling him is true. Again, all of it would be like somebody coming to me going, Shannon, and I'm in delusion, because you've seen, and I'm going to tell y'all have seen it. You got fat people that put on clothes as if they're not fat. It'd be like somebody saying, Shannon, you know, you have an eating disorder and you're fat. And I'm sitting up there looking at you like, no, I'm not, and I get mad about it. No, I know I do. I know I'm overweight. I know that what those issues are. Now it's a stronghold. Eventually, either something's going to click, or it's going to click to help me step out of it. But it's a stronghold. It's the same way for Monty. He realized his sexual addiction was a stronghold. He prayed about it. He got delivered, but he didn't walk in the renewing of the mind part, because all of a sudden you're like, I want my sin back because it's comfortable. For me now to try to deal with this, and you've taken it from me, it's hard for me to deal with that. And that's most of us in some form or fashion. In the part of people coming into our life, that's a problem for some folks. Some folks have massive issues with being by themselves, and really, that is a good time for what's known as some good self reflection. You need to self reflect on your situation. And some of us don't know how to self reflect. It's too much, it's too hard. I don't want to sit and deal with me. I don't want to deal with my issues. So having a man in the mirror moment is not something I want to deal with. So people don't. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with this, that, and the other thing. I don't want to deal with it. So they don't. Which is why Grumpy laid in a chair and slept all day, because I can't lay on women and screw them anymore and have babies I don't want to raise. And I think that's what makes me a man. And now I can't stand over the toilet and pee. So now I'm just going to sleep my way to the casket, which is exactly what he did. Exactly. And it's hard. And when you use the word self-improvement, I want to say this. Not self for self-centeredness, but self in conjunction with God doing it. Because there's a difference between a lot of people who get in a self-centered improvement. I'm going to speak gratitude today. And they go in that new agey, which is typical of a lot of the 40 and under now. The new agey, gratitude, intentionality, all these words that have to do with I'm going to speak this as if they're going to manifest these things. You got to work in conjunction with the Lord for your deliverance. It's just like what I was telling people last week. You can't fix you on your own. You just can't. You can't. That's why when you hear some people go get weight loss, they either have to go to a doctor to go have the surgery. Surgery's going to cost me 10 grand. One of the girls at work, she's getting ready to do it. With the insurance we have and all the stuff she's going through, it's $10,000. I need a car. And 10 grand is something I just don't have right now. But it's $10,000 to do the surgery. Okay? So $10,000 for the gastric sleeve, on top of what the insurance is covering. That's why some people go to Mexico and do it for a lot less. But you have other risks when you go do that, because it's not the same type of facilities we have here. So you really, there's some risk. But some people think, oh, I can do it myself. I'm going to speak intentionality and gratitude and the universe. Child, bye. You getting into some other demonic stuff. Like I said, the snake in the backyard. Right there. That's who you need. Okay? You can't fix you. And then you have to ask direction. There's things right now, Lord, I need you to help me through this. I need you to help me through that. Forgive me for my sins and let me speak into people's lives accordingly. After this video, I got to do a video for a Bible study group, and I'm doing a study on the enemy right now in order to lay out the foundation for the Matthew Bible study, because oftentimes we only have knowledge of certain things. People don't want to be, I don't want to be alone. I got off the subject, but what Linda brought to the table for me, Linda's somebody who has humor. She makes you laugh. Linda will make me laugh at myself, because I can be a plumb fool. Not fool in it, but I can be silly and not realize I'm being silly, because I'll be sarcastic about something and not realize. And she make me laugh at myself. When I worked at the University of Phoenix, I would come in and they would tell me something crazy that these people had done. And I would look at them and I'd say, and I wouldn't use this word, but I'm going to use it because I'm Christian. Okay, there's a gnat. I ain't been bothered with gnats, and the gnat just went across my face. I've been doing good. Me and the gnats it's been a peaceful non-gnat moment, and this little butthole came across my face. He must have come in with me from outside. But Linda will make me laugh at myself. And so she goes, we're talking. Okay, I thought that was a gnat. We're talking, and she goes, she says, girl, you used to come in and work, and you would say, are you shiznitting me? And I wasn't using the shiznit word. I was using the four-letter word. And she said, girl, we would all bust up because you would come in and say something funny with them the crazy stuff they would do. And I would say it was the University according to Phoenix and not the University according to Shannon, because they would do some weird stuff. And that was always my, like I said, my go-to word. And I didn't realize. I would just say it honestly. I was like, and then I would get on another subject. And then I'd be sarcastic about something else because that's just my character. And I didn't, and also being sarcastic can be a coping mechanism. My little play nephew, who I know is smoking, in his family line, I don't know about his father, but I know the mother. I know that there's addictive behaviors and addictions. It's a generational curse that needs to be broken. She can't break that. Only God can. I don't know if she beseeched God to break that. But while it's not in the same way that came down from the person I know, and I don't know about her others in her family line, he now smokes. And I'm pretty sure because, and sweet kid, it's a coping mechanism. OCD runs over there. Monty was OCD. I have OCD. I'm not like as good as it gets OCD, but I do have it. Monty's mother, that woman cleaned every day. Oh my God. Every day, all day. It was, I think you could eat anywhere off that house. It was so clean. There was no dust. She dusted every day. Even the little bitty things, she dusted. I don't know if you could find dust. That when she came to my house, she was cleaning and folding with one arm, and she had a stroke. I'm like, Grandma, what are you doing? What are you doing? OCD. Grumpy. He did things exactly the same way. And the older I'm getting, I'm starting to do some of that myself. I am OCD in other ways. So like, I'll put something together, and if I don't put it together exactly the same way, I will take it completely apart and put it back together again until it's right. It's an OCD thing. Some people are like, oh, no, 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 no. It bothers me. I can't. And I will deal with it. Yeah, I have OCD. Right now I need to clean refrigerators. I can't just do one. I'm going to do all of them. I have 2 refrigerators. I have a little one, and I have the big regular refrigerator. And then I need to organize possibly freezers. But the refrigerators are going to get clean. I'm going to do both of them today, together, because they both got to get done. I can't stop with one. It'll drive me nuts. It'll bother me. These are some of the outcomes of some things that we inherit from just the stuff that happens, and that we inherit through the line, and also can be because of any damages that have happened. And there's a lady I watch, a Christian lady, and when I'm watching, I'm like, She later admits, she's a minister, that she was a sexual abuse victim from somebody in her family. And I'm watching her, and I kind of picked it up. And I saw she does like another friend of mine now. I don't know if my friend had sexual abuses. I know there were other things going on in the house. So I know there was some other stuff going on in the house with substance abuse and her household that she grew up with, and especially with a family member in her house. And I believe it's the outcome of the substance abuse. She's massive OCD. That woman can rearrange her house 4 times. She would move her house in a complete circle. I would just watch her. How do you do this? And it was just the most amazing thing. She would literally rearrange her house every weekend, go through a cleaning spree, and would have to move everything. It would bother her. And I was like, ooh, this is massive OCD. And on that, yeah. So, for those of you who may watch this, because I have people watch this later on, that's me when it comes to this job. If I feel like it was not done to my satisfaction, I take it apart. Yep, that's an OCD thing. I'm like that at work. They don't, for some of them, because there's a lack of what I call work ethic, but also, well, you don't have to be perfect, Shannon. I'm not trying to be perfect. This is how I'm at pretty much all my jobs. That's why when I was at the Carvana company and the man was like, oh, you went 15. Well, I could have went to the bathroom. I don't know what I did. And then Linda said, no, you didn't listen to what that man said. He sat there and watched every time you moved a mouse. and was calculating that when you were working on the case. She said, that's crazy as hell. You could have got up, went to the bathroom. She said, you could have been reading something because I had notes here in the house. I have no idea because they couldn't have, she said, you didn't have anything else. You were helping people. She says, I said, girl, it's okay. I already knew. And it wasn't about that. It was the fact that I told them what y'all doing ain't right. And that bothered them that I told you that what you weren't doing right. And the girl I was really trying to warn was the supervisor lady who I liked. And they let her go. And I said, I wasn't trying to warn them. I was warning you. But as I told you, this might bite me in the butt. And so it did. I'll be okay. God will make a way. And he did. Okay? And they let you go just like I told you they was going to possibly do. You wasn't listening. I warned you. Like I said, I'm a straight shooter. What you see is what you get. I'm not somebody trying to dick anybody over. What you see is what you get. But I'm also somebody who's not going to have people who aren't, and especially as I'm getting older, people that aren't profitable to me. I have people I just stopped talking to. My perfect. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, I have people I just stopped talking to because if you aren't profitable, the one chick I told you about who was raising the capital for her son's graduation and doing the committee and asking her, she all of a sudden, you're not hurting my feelings if you're not talking to me. You're not. I came to your house, fix your computer. I don't have a problem. I came, saw you when your sons were born. I don't have a problem with you. That's your issue. I'm not. She's a Californian. They're into that materialism. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't really give a doggone. My buddy, who I talk about, he came to this little money from his sister. He got he got the little Range Rover. Love him, but for him, that's a status thing. And he wants everything. Because I need other people to validate me. Child, I don't need nobody to validate me. I could give a good doggone. I need Jesus to validate me when I see him. I want him to say, well done, good and faithful servant, enter in, because I do not want to go to hell. As far as what other people think, I don't care. Little young lady at my job who says she's a brat and dreaming about ways to kill her mama and all that other weirdness. Right now, she's 23. Upset about a car because she got hit in a car. Or no, she hit somebody, totaled out the car. Based on some of her driving things that she was telling me, I understand how she hit somebody because she's young. And and then now she's upset because she wants a new car because the car she has is ghetto. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? She went and got another car. It is, I guess, in these kids, it got to be a name. Lexus. It's a 2006. Now, I don't really care. I said, do the windows roll up and down? Yeah. Does it have air conditioner? Yeah. I said, okay. Does it pretty much mechanically sound? Yeah. What seems to be the problem? I said, because what I'm driving outside right now, it's mechanically iffy. The windows don't roll up and down. So in the summer, the back windows start to fall down a little bit. So the only breeze I have. So when I come in this house, I'm drenched. When I go to work, I'm drenched. Because I don't have the air conditioner don't work. The windows don't roll down. The back ones fall down. I'm drenched from sweating. But it gets me back and forth to work. You complaining about a car that's way better conditioned than mine. You 23 years old. And you concerned, it's ghetto. It doesn't have a backup. I'm like, when I told her my favorite car is a Scion, if I can get enough money saved, I want another Scion XB. And I would like the last one they made because I like the body style of the very last one. I had the one that was more like a toaster. And I was saying, yeah, oh, that's an ugly car. I'm not buying a car for you. Why would you want? I'm not buying my car for you. But see, that's the maturity level of some people, even people like what I call old fools, because you're buying stuff in order to impress other people. You need someone else to validate you. Guys, let me explain something to you. And this gets into if they're not profitable. You don't use profitability for people to validate you. Profitability is for people to help you mature in your growth. My best friend, and here's what she brought to the table for me. We're in high school and we're very much, her father was very sick, and her father was a child protective service agent, as well as he worked for Durango, which is the juvie jail out here. The man had degrees in sociology. Honey, everybody's car should be with him for a while with the cost of vehicles, but amen. I'm feeling the love. My best friend's father Man, very well educated. And his background was in social work. So he worked with children. Out here in Arizona, he was, like I said, a CPS agent. And he could tell you stories, probably how he picked up on my mother, because that was his background. He worked with kids, so he read people very well. Jane's father, and it was just something she did, automatic. It wasn't something he required, but she was the girl. He had two kids, her and her brother. And so, because her dad worked hard, she just automatically did it. She started cooking as she got older, and she would cook for the family when she got home. And her dad was working, and she knew he had some health challenges. She didn't know what they were. Nobody knew he was going to die. I think he had been given, she said later, once they found out, after he passed, I think he'd been given 6 years to live. He hadn't been given a long period of time. Girl, ride that car till the wheels fall off, especially right now with the cost of cars. I pray on old man Red. I'll be like, Lord, please keep him running until I can get him replaced. Like I said, he $500. It's what is he? A Mercury Grand Marquis 2000, or hold on, a 95 Mercury Grand Marquis. A police car, like, well, it's not the police car, but that, the Ford police car type, the Crown Vic era type cars. $500. Now the guy who was driving him, the crazy truck driver, he basically, to me, all the fixes he did tore up more than he fixed. But is it running? Yeah, I think, the tranny is on. The engine, I might have a head gasket. The transmission, I can tell we got issues. I got a weird leak, which I think is a transmission fluid. I'm just having to be on top of it and just praying, Lord, I'm believing that you're going to get me financially where I need to be so I can get a replacement. And I need to get a replacement, but let this run until I get a replacement, or let me get work from home, and I still need to get a replacement. But I sat around and I just lost train of thought, y'all. Oh, so I'm sitting up here, and my best friend, she's like, when we were in high school, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the movies. And I was on my way to work, because this is our senior year. I said, you going to the movies? She's like, yeah, I'm going to movies. I said, what you going to movies, sis? And I said, who you going with? Because back in the day, everybody was like, you don't go to movies by yourself. You go with friends, you go with family, you go with other people. And she goes, oh no, Shannon, I like go movie by myself. Sometimes it's just a way to relax. And I don't know why, it was a seed. That was a seed for me. And I was like, I never thought about that. Like, because we're trained in our society, oh, you got to go with friends. And no, child, by. It is the most relaxing thing for me to go to a movie theater and don't have the reclining seats. I'm done. I'm going to snore and go to sleep. But it's the most relaxing. The other night, I was like, I'm getting off work early. I could tell my stress level was starting to come up. Just so much going on. And I was like, I'm going to take 3 hours off early. I put in for it, got approved. I left work. I normally get off at midnight. I left at 9 o'clock. I had already booked my ticket. I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy. And I had a me, myself, and I day. Today, I got up and I was like, I kind of knew. I was like, I might be craving dim sum. I was like, I'm going to go dim sum. Now, dim sum is normally something you go with a whole bunch of people. I did not. And I got leftovers, so I got dinner for tonight. And it had the most relaxing day. And I simply went and just chilled out. Last night I chilled. This morning I chilled. I'm going to work on the house. I got an audio book I'm listening to right now. Carrie Washburn, whatever, and Lawrence Fishburne, or whatever. Carrie whatever, Washington, and Lawrence Fishburne. It's called Prophecy. It's something on Audible. So if y'all have an Audible, I'm listening to it. It's pretty good. It's not, I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not definitely Christian in the sense of Christian, although they're using some kind of biblical stuff in order to create the scene, the setting. So right now I'm listening to the book to see where it goes. I think I'm in episode 2 or 3 of it. And it's like you got the storyline, you hear you hear the actors, and I like it. It's like an enacted book, which I love. There was something when I was driving truck that I used to listen to called graphic audio, and they have them at the truck stops, but you can also download them. And actually have the app on my phone. I need to see if there's some new episodes. And I used to like to listen to something that is called, it's graphic audio, movie in your mind. So it would do all like the shooting and the doors opening and closing and the different actors speaking, like old time radio. So that's something I've been listening to right now. But you need, and Mr. Flatbed said, me too, the solitude is so relaxing. Those are the mental health days. Right. And that's exactly, it's some people are like, you think you have to have people. And I'm not trying to tell you to be by yourself because that's not healthy. You do need to not ever be, I'm just going to be totally by, no, 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 that's not healthy. But what I am going to say, being by yourself is not, some people like, I'm by myself, I ain't got nobody. No, no, no. Like Monty, his life was very unhealthy. Monty, he was totally, and I know he was lonely because he actually said it to me when I came in on the truck a couple of times. When I came to visit, he's like, he said something about being lonely, and he didn't want to do that because those are emotions, and Monty didn't want to show you that he had emotions. And he talked about it a couple different times. And I looked at him and I said, then do something. But Monty wanted you to come into his crazy. He did not want to step outside of himself and interact. And this is where I'm saying, when you interact with other people, another person has to come to the table. And I'm not saying you have to be totally different, but that social person needs to be able to come to the table. Monty did not want the social person. I want to be who I want to be, and I want you to accept me where I'm at. That's why you can go into your aunt and uncle's home sick. They're showing you love, and you're so self-centered and narcissistic that you fix your lips on a meal you ain't paying for to say, I don't like chicken breasts. When this woman is telling you that she's making her most grand meal for you, I'm going to make some chest pie for you, baby. I'm going to make some chicken breasts and I don't like chicken. That's a grown child. That's a narcissist. And so if I don't want to step outside that vein, I'm going to be by myself if you can't come into my world and be the way I want you to be. That's a different cup of tea. When I step out of here, me and Joe, we have things we don't agree on. We have things within his family that he does and interacts. Not my cup of tea, nor will I do it. So what we have learned is, don't talk to me about your family issues. Zero. It's not that I don't care about you, but if you choose to deal with crazy, you deal with crazy. If you talk to me about it, I'm going to tell you dealing with crazy, and I'm going to tell you some ninjas need to go. I'm going to tell you need to haul off and punch old boy in his face. I ain't trying to be mean, but there's a point to me where when folks come off a certain way, A, they don't respect you, B, I'm not about it. So you're going to learn that if you're going to bring crazy, I can bring crazy too. We're going to find out who's crazier. And then we're going to see how you work that out. I'm just saying. But I'm not going to invite crazy in my house because I'm not going to be in handcuffs. No. And there's a point where we have to make decisions as to what's profitable to us. Not being in handcuffs is profitable to me. I'm just saying. And so I'm not going to bring folks that's going to take me to another level. And there's other people that they'll take you to that level and they'll keep cracking their butt cheeks on you, and you letting them downtrod you. That's not healthy. Grumpy wanted to stay grumpy. He didn't know how to be out and be social. So we know how to flex around each other. Linda has come into my life and she makes me laugh. And I need to laugh. And I realized, okay, Lord, you brought me, you knew that I needed to laugh. You knew that I needed this person because that is a profitable part that I need to balance me out, because I am very serious. And God shares, in my opinion, some very serious things, especially when I'm teaching. But you also need to have that part of you, that human part of you, that is not always so serious, because it can be heavy. And God shows me some heavy stuff sometimes. Unlike Jeremiah, who they call the weeping prophet, who saw a lot of heavy stuff that God was showing him prophetically that was going to come to his people, I see that. I deal with it different, but it's heavy. And so to balance me out, God brings in Linda. Linda is somebody I've known for a while, but truly we've built the heart of who she is. We have built a very neat friendship. So much so she's introduced me to other family. Her sister is funny. And I really can't wait to meet her sister's husband, because her sister's husband, based on who she described her father to be, her father was a goofy, funny dude. Her sister's husband sounds like the same exact dude. I said, your sister married your dad. She's like, girl, yes, she did. Because her dad just did some really silly, funny stuff and didn't even realize he was trying to be funny. God has a way, if you let him, of bringing profitable people in your life. Just ask him. But you also need to get in relation with God, because once you get in relation with him, he's going to do what's best for you and what's best for you in the kingdom. One of the reasons we're having this conversation right now, and I'm sharing on this level, is because there's people out here who you've been in abusive situations, and right now you're weighing your life in the balance. I have one young lady, she said, thank you for being exposed, because I've been in depression for 6 months and everything dealing with my childhood is coming up. Of course it is. It has to. Because as we get older and as we're moving in life, if we don't deal with the madness or the craziness or the damages, Satan wins. The snake in the backyard. If I let and don't share, there's some people that are going to, God is going to use this medium and it's going to say, okay, wait a minute, this girl is all up in my closet. Well, it's not me. God may be through me because of my journey talking to you about your journey. And in that, you may start weighing in the balance. Wait a minute. I'm sitting up here dealing with this crazy woman. I'm dealing with this crazy dude. I'm in this crazy relationship. Wait a minute. My play niece's sister, or half sister, whose mama took her back into the abusive household, she's still trying to have this relationship with her mama. And she's going back in to the damages of a woman who sees nothing wrong with taking you back in and allowing a male that she wanted to keep to rape you so that she could keep him. She left you, went back to him, then came back to the house, got you, brought you in, knowing you were what he wanted and knew he was raping you. My friend Michael, I have no doubt that his mama knew that the daddy was having sex with him. No doubt in my mind. I most women know. Most people know. They know when sexual abuse is happening in their household. Saying they know their husband is cheating. Or they know the wife, eventually know the wife is cheating. You know. You know. You just choose on what you want to deal with or not. And you choose to either live in your delusion or to act as if you're in a delusion. Most of you aren't. And you know. You know. It's like folks who go, like, oh, my buddy, one of my buddies, well, I haven't said anything about mom, about me. Your mama know you gay. Bro, your mama know. She know. She know. Everybody else in the family knew. She knew. She had you. I had a friend of mine, last story. His name is his friend, Anthony. I think Anthony's dead now. Gay guy. Good looking brother, too. He actually kind of looked like Prince, actually, because people think he was Prince, except he was taller. Anthony was Italian and black mix. His mom was a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I think I told a story of him in another video where I used to go and get him. And he would always like, Shannon, can you come get me? Because he done got in a fight and whatever with his brother. And it wasn't until I actually interacted. I mean, I met his mom. We had interacted. I'd been to the house. We would go out sometimes. She would pay for drinks. We'd go to this lounge up in Scottsdale, and we'd watch Margot Reed. And Nat King Cole's brother used to play there too. But Margot Reed, Francine Reed, they would come and sing there. And I think Francine was the one who sung with Lyle Lovett. She was a backup for Lyle Lovett. But Margot would sing there too. And me and Anthony would love it. And so mom would show up and she'd pay for drinks and stuff. And we would just sit and eat food and just chill and just lounge music. And I'm a geek. I'm a geek by a lot of means. I could go sit in the lounge with a glass of wine and just chill and listen to a piano player. And that is the most relaxing thing for me. Needless to say, when everything finally went down and I kept wondering why this boy is calling me all the time to pick him up. And it wasn't until one day I had to take him to the house and I ended up seeing the interaction between him and his mom. I took Anthony back to my place and I said, I want you to sober up because he was drinking. And this woman steady pouring liquor and saying stuff under her breath to piss him off. Because she liked drama. She's like my mother. She liked drama. So she knew that Anthony would end up in a fight with, and he said, oh, go out there and help your brother with this. Because she knew that he's drunk. There's something going to be said, and she's already building it. It was the most interesting situation, but also the most demonic. And that's one of the things now I look back and I see how spirits work. A lot of people, I'm like, okay, Lord has shown me, I can almost see demonic characteristics through people so that there's spirits behind them. Because the Bible tells you that it's not flesh and blood, it's powers and principalities behind people. Your fight is not against flesh and blood, but it's the powers and principalities behind it. It's the spirits behind them. So I can see in the characteristics sometimes of people, especially similar characteristics, when you have certain demonic forces at work. Monty's line, like when I saw the youngest nephew would be a great nephew, my great nephew, and I saw some behaviors of this 2-year old. I don't think he's two. I don't know if he's under two. I was like, because they were so in sync with behaviors that Monty had. I was like, what the? And then I knew, oh, that is a massive demon. Demonic. I'm talking about everything from a fold his arms, how he looks, this obstinate behavior. I was like, what in the Sam? I was like, when I first saw it, and I'm talking about, I'm just seeing pictures on Facebook of this baby. And I had to ask the aunt, which is the other niece, the sister of the child, which is the aunt of the baby. I said, baby, your other sister, the great net, her baby. She said, oh, Aunt Shannon, Auntie Shannon, he's bad. We nicknamed him Chucky. And I was like, well, he has a lot of characteristics to your grandfather. I could already see it. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, this is a mass demon. Massive. When I met the cousins and some of the behaviors and the way they thought, I was like, oh. My friend, when I saw his mother, well, later on, he actually demonstrated those same characteristics. And I told him, I said, look, you could be the trash man. Your mama had you. You came out of her stuff. She knows you're an alcoholic. She knows you're an alcoholic. She's steady pouring drinks, saying stuff under her breath. She wants the drama. That's already demonic. Last time I saw him, we had gone out somewhere, and we're just walking in the park. He's drinking, and all of a sudden, the same behavior that his mom did to him, he's trying to do to me. And I looked at him, and I'm like, who's here right now? I said, when you get done, the drinking stops now. Otherwise, you're going to have to find another ride home. Because I had to have him sober up. And then I talked to him. I said, something else came to the surface. Same behaviors as mom did. Demonic. Guys, be careful what you're inviting in. And then be careful. And his alcoholism got worse. So last I talked to him, his alcoholism was so bad that I knew that friendship was going to be gone. Because I will not, I'm not going to sit myself in a seat of rebuke for anybody. Verbally, even if it's verbal and you're just starting to start stuff, but you also are on a deep, dark path, there are things sometimes you don't want to get involved in. Drug users, deep, dark paths, you don't want to be involved in that. My friend, love him dearly. I can hang out with him. I don't want to go back in his family home. I've been in his family home twice. I think twice, maybe 2 or 3 times. The second time, I don't. I, I, he's got I think 1 or 2 family members I could be around. The other ones I want nothing to do with. I am not somebody who likes to be around crazy. And there's people that I don't want to be lonely, so I'm willing to subject myself to crazy. Grumpy. I could handle grumpy to a point, but that was like when I would stay there, and it was like I said, I was trying to transition there to Texas. But there was a point I'm like, I'm not gonna live here with you eternally. I'm really here to just transition here. I don't, no, homie. And when I came back, like I said, there was a push to get back here. But when I came back here, and like I said, I would have helped him if he needed it. That's what kind of prepared the food, because I figured I'm not going to stay there. You're going to have to come here if you want to need help. But I can't live in your crazy. And that's the problem, is some people, you don't want to be lonely, so you're living in other people's crazy. And you're allowing the madness to come into your life. Let me explain something to you. If they ain't profitable to you, leave them where they're at. The Bible talks about shaking the dust. Now, it's talking about if they don't receive you. I'm a representative on this planet of Christ. I'm not Christ, but what I am is one of his believers. I'm one of his children. I'm one of God's children. Knowing that, I represent him. Therefore, if I go somewhere and I'm not received, especially if I'm coming in a Christian manner, the Bible tells me to shake the dust. That means mañana. If I'm not received, I'm going to shake the dust. I'm going to keep it pushing. Some of you, instead of shaking the dust, you're sitting down in the midst of the madness, or you're inviting the madness into your home. Let it go. Don't do that. Pray God puts people around you who are profitable to you, and trust him to get rid of. And also pray, Lord, if there's anything around me that's not of you and not profitable, get it out of my life. And then as he does it, thank you, Lord, for getting it out of my life. Sometimes it's not easy, because sometimes it is something you've gotten used to. It's a level of dysfunction you're used to, and he's trying to shed it out your life. You want some peace? Let him shed. Let him strip all the madness. There's the reason I didn't go up in that house. I was like, okay, the dream woke me up about my aunt. She tells me she's coming. I was like, okay. And I didn't know she was coming, but then I started more thinking. I already kind of knew. I was like, well, maybe. And then the more I get closer, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to go to that function. I'm going to drop off what I'm going to drop off, and then we're just going to go have lunch with me and my buddies. I can't be there with her, because ultimately you owe apologies. You're forgiven, but it tells me when you can't fix your lips to say, I messed up, I was wrong, I was evil, I was malicious, I'm messed up. When you can't fix your lips to do that, it doesn't mean I don't forgive you. I realize you're broken. But if I can say I'm broken, I can say I'm messed up, I can look at the mirror and see my issues, then you should see yours. And if you refuse to deal with yours because you're too prideful, I don't know if y'all saw, I put that video up from that lady, BMAC Rights. Please click on that. I sent that to somebody I was talking to. They said, thank you. I'm in tears. I'm in tears. I needed this. Because oftentimes we want these people to apologize to us. We want them to try to make it right. They can't make right the damage they've already done. But they don't want to do anything. Grumpy apologized for his stuff. Grumpy's issue is that he could not fully walk in his apologies. I get that he wanted to. And as I got to know and I saw, like I said, after he died, the extended family, I realized the darkness and the depth of the demonic forces that had control of his life. All in that family line, on both sides. His father's side is extra. His mama's side was special, but his father's side, extra. My biological mother's side, her mother's side, extra. I don't know about my biological grandfather. I mean, I got along with him. He had some butthole aspects, but I loved my grandfather. I did. But my biological mama, her mother, her mother's mother, wicked, vicious, malicious, evil. I don't know if she's jealous, but that lady did some stuff. I ain't even telling half of what I know on what she did, even to my grandfather, things that she would say regarding him to his face. And her daughter didn't do anything and laughed and thought it was funny. His wife. Might be by later on when she got sick, he was so cold-blooded to her, but he also did provide. Malicious. We got to be careful how we interact with folks, because it will come and bite you. Starbucks, I stopped on the way to the house. That's that pineapple refresher lemonade. It's actually pretty good. But tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about being careful who you let back in your life. Because as I was listening to her, somebody had left out of her life, this one person, and she's talking about, well, I don't know because they sick, and what I'm listening to is more so, I'm lonely. And this is what I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with this person who, basically in some ways didn't do right, has some drama, and because I'm lonely, I might bring that drama back in my house. Rethink it. Rethink it. And my buddy, I think some of the interactions he has with his family is to give him value and give him, it's to give him value. He's in control of purse strings right now, so everybody has come to him for money. That's another reason they're there. And is it profitable? And I'm gonna tell you right now, that whole situation, there's nothing profitable about any of it. It's all a use situation. Everybody using everybody. There's nothing profitable about it. And there's folks sitting up in there, they're not profitable. They're just buttholes. And they're ticks on life, and they're ticks on you. Grumpy, I looked at him and I'm like, you're a tick on life, bro. He wasn't, what that was a saying he had. He was not profitable in the sense to people that didn't, he wanted women to do stuff for him, jewelry and stuff like that. And so you yourself need to be profitable to other people. You yourself, don't just sit there and I'm going to take. Don't just sit there and people don't speak into your life. You yourself need to speak into other people's lives too. You yourself need to be profitable to other people as well. It just can't be one way. But also, you need to be able to see it. My best friend showed me how to enjoy peaceful time alone and the value of it. That it wasn't bad to go to a movie by yourself. It's not bad to go and eat by yourself. It's not bad to go to a coffee house and I can take a book, I can go on my laptop and just sit and freaking chill. A lot of people need to get that because a lot of us are living life on a stress level and we think that other people need to validate you. The same way people buy cars, like this child, to impress that you want other people, that validates you. Honey, a car doesn't, that tells me there's something more lacking. If you need to say, oh, I'm gonna wear this suit, or I'm gonna wear this because I need somebody to tell me I'm pretty, or I look good, or I'm cool, or it makes, because I have this car, I have a friend of mine, he's Latino. He likes people to tell him he's white, think he's white. He loves it. The hell? And when I first saw it, I was like, whoa. Because in your mind, because you believe in the poison, white is better than everything else. At the same time, the confusion is you realize they discriminate against your people. Then you have a complaint, but yet you want to be them. It is just the most mind-numbing conundrum. Anyway, y'all, I'm at 119 minutes. But I pray that some of what I'm sensing, and I hope y'all can follow the bouncing ball I was given, loneliness, you don't focus on that. Focus on getting people around you who are profitable to you. Don't focus on keeping people in your life who aren't profitable, who are basically buttholes. I hate to say it's the only way I can put it. And you're keeping them in your life because you're thinking, oh, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be by myself. One last story. I was at a church, and there was a lady there. She's come to the Bible study, and I teach her. Oh, I used to go to the gym when I was younger. I probably need a gym again, and I need a gym with a pool because I'll swim. That I would exercise. I love swimming. But there was a lady that was at my church, and she was in my Bible study as a teacher, and I didn't know she was married because I never met her husband. Well, I'm going to share this because I think the reason she stayed in this situation, her husband left her and was living with another woman in another relationship, and she refused to divorce her husband. One, I think she was taking the legalistic side of marriage out of context because the Bible gives you a clear way to get divorced if your spouse goes and interacts with and ends up in a relationship with somebody else. You can get divorced. Okay. The other thing is, I think by claiming she was married, it made her feel as if she still had something. And again, I believe that goes, even though it's twisted, it goes to the lonely concept. Let that ninja go, and you're going to be all right. You can be you and Jesus. You'll be all right. And Jesus will bring around you who he needs to bring around you. And a lot of people need to pray, God, shed from me those people from me that I don't need. I went to a point, like I said, of a shedding. And when I looked up, I'm like, oh, all these folks I used to hang out with, I don't deal with, some of them don't even have any way of contacting them. And then it began to draw me more back into my Christianity. And sometimes that is the other part of it. God needs your attention. So instead of you being caught up with all this other madness around you and all this other distraction, he's getting you back focused on him. Once you get focused on him, then just start praying, and God will bring around you the people you need to grow you. Vice versa, the people that you may need to speak into their lives. I sometimes can have conversations with people, and the next thing I know, this weird conversation is happening, and I'm just like, okay, Lord, but then I have to understand, I'm a vessel. Just use me as you will. And today I went to the 99 cents, I went to Family Dollar and Dollar Tree. And as I'm leaving out of Dollar Tree, I usually have my earbud in, but I have it turned on. And the lady says, she opens the door for me because I got a limp, y'all. And my knees aren't good anymore. And I got a little limp and my back has been jacked. So I'm walking out the store and I got a little waddle. And she holds the door for me, and she says, "You have a good day, ma'am." I said, "You have a good day too." Now, by looking at her, I'm thinking, kind of some homeless folk don't look the best, and not judging the car because you got a name brand car, don't mean everything's great. So she says, "No, ma'am, you have a blessed day." I said, "Baby, say that again. God is good. You have a blessed day too." She said, "Life is already hard enough. We all need to be blessed." Yes, ma'am, we do. She goes, and I'm getting in the old man beater red, and she gets into this beautiful Mercedes. If you looked at her, you wouldn't even think the car, I was like, the car don't fit the woman, because we automatically think people, you're supposed to, you never know a book by its cover. You just don't. You just don't. And we have to come out of that vein because we don't know. And also, here this lady tells me how hard life is. You just got a Mercedes, a nice car. And I'm thinking a very, very nice car. And I'm thinking, or kind of Mercedes SUV, whatever it is, crossover. And I'm like, Life is hard already. You have a blessed day, ma'am. Life is hard already. Remove yourself, or rephrase, have God help you remove yourself from situations of people who are not profitable to you. I don't care, family, friends, I don't care, associates, because a lot of times the people that you calling friends, they're not necessarily that if they're not profitable. They have their own agenda. I used to help out fixing computers for some associates. Her husband had ex-husband had a salon. I go fix their computer, their home computer, house sit, dog sit, do all this stuff. People go in there left and right, get their hair done for free back when I had hair. Never one time did they do my hair for free. Now, I'm not a tit for tat person. That wasn't what it was about. But never one time did I come up in there and you do my hair for free. I paid that $75 or whatever it was. When I stopped going to the husband, now ex-husband, got a phone call from the individual. Why haven't you been going to the shop? My hair is short now and I just go to a barbershop up the street. It costs me $15. No, it's $15. I ain't paying $35 for somebody to cut my hair off, and because it was before it started really coming out on top like it is right now. And y'all see, I'm kind of just letting it go right now. Eventually, I might cut it again, but I just been letting it go. I don't know how far it's gonna get because up here it's real thin. See the thin up here. But I just let it go. I'm like, I'm not gonna pay this extra money for all of that. Went left. Wait a minute. First of all, you shouldn't have, not profitable. We associate with each other still, and in some senses kind, but in other senses that California mentality comes to the table, and I realize they're more materialistic. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't really give a dang. You come up in my crib and don't like stuff, then don't come. Don't come. And I have a problem with that because a lot of people, like I said, some stuff ain't profitable. It's just not. Shake the dust. Shake the dust. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to get off of here. I need to get over here because my goal is the couch is moving today. So I got a little section over here by the desk I need to clean up. I am doing refrigerator cleaning outs today. So I'll be doing that as well. I don't know if I'll be on here next week. We'll see what the Lord gives me. And be safe. And I just really, for those males and females who I'm talking to about abuse situations, you're coming into situations, things are coming. I'm watching this baby at my job she's going to get counseling. I don't know all the details. But that she does need to talk to somebody. I can tell that. Massage foot. Okay, rosemary oil. Oh, how'd you know? Girl, okay, because my back heel has been bugging me. Thank you about the foot thing. And rosemary, I might order some of that. Massage foot, about 5 minutes, and use rosemary oil. Thank you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to order that. Because it's funny you mention that because my heel on my left side has been sore. My back has been kicking. Woo! And I sit in this chair at work, so I sent something, but I didn't really bother these people. The chairs they have at my job are horrid. I mean, just absolutely horrid. And already being a big girl, so finally I got a different chair. But by the time I get done, and by the end of the week, my lower back it's talking. And if depending on how bad it is, it's almost sometimes it's like I can't walk. My whole just walking hurts. I walk from one second and my back is like, it's talking. But my heel on my foot has been on my left side. The back heel's been kind of sore. And this leg I have edema in. So my left leg is where I've had my blood clots in. So I've had two DVTs, two or more DVTs in the left leg. I've had 2 pulmonary embolisms in the lung. It doesn't matter fat or skinny. I'm just prone for them. And then, 2 PEs here, 2 blood clots there, possibly 3. But yeah. So, thank you. The rosemary oil, I thank you, because I'm going to try that. Flatbed, my fat butt. If I had a big tub, I would get in there and sit down. And I'm big. When I say I'm big. Y'all can see just the wideness from here. And if I had like a big soaking tub, what I need to do is I need to do a I went to a hotel here. Somebody gave me a stay at a hotel here, and they had one of the jet bathtubs. It was really big, and I did the bubble bath, and I stayed there and had a good time up here just north of Scottsdale, Phoenix area. And I need to do probably a staycation and do that and just go to like one of these places with the soaker tubs. My apartment complex, it's older. It doesn't. We don't have a pool out here. None of that. But I need to do that. She said, "Wow, oh my God." Yeah. So I my tub is okay, but I could probably soak my feet. Could I sit in it? Yeah, but it's not gonna be the same. You're gonna have to have room in my tub for all of me, especially with the booty. The booty is about as wide as the shoulders. You see how big? Like I said, you see me right here, so that's wide. And when I saw my brother and I hadn't seen him in a while, he's picked up a lot of weight too. Cayenne pepper and hot water. Okay, I'll look at it. Yeah, and it's like sound like a detox. So I look at it. I know Epsom salt has always been good for stuff, but I need to. I need to. Yeah, we're coming to some heads on stuff. So I got some stuff that's coming to the surface, and I'm dealing with it in my way. Like I said, 10 grand is that, and I know that I was like, ooh. And a girl at work, she's in the same situation. Her cousin is a weight loss doctor here. I guess here in Mexico. I can't remember. She's Latino. And so she's going to do the surgery with him. And I think she's going to Mexico because she said even with the insurance for her to do it, she gave me a ride the other night. And here, let me share this with you. She's a very nice lady, but you got to be careful of the enemy. And her whole thing was about gay conversation. Now, I have zero desire. Me and the life are done. I'm good. But the whole conversation, the whole ride here to my house, oh, I'll give you a ride. I'll stay after. Very nice. And the whole conversation was about gay stuff. I'm like, okay, enemy, be careful what you entertain. You drink the cayenne. I think you can get cayenne in tablets, if I remember. The cayenne in tablets, because I need to get me some more cinnamon for blood flow. Okay. I need to get me some more cinnamon because cinnamon helps with your sugar. And my sugar is actually, as heavy as I am, my sugar is good. My A1C is normally between 6.2 and 6.7, which is, African Americans is high. But it's not like my buddy Joe, he's in like the nines and stuff. And like even if I do a finger stick, I'm usually 80 or 90. He's in the hundreds and 200, 300s. I'm not there. Grumpy was like 400 at times. It was insanity. But he refused to do anything different. I'm going to do what I want to do. Me, I will do sugar free. Um, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with stevia. If I did a soda, I don't have a problem with diet soda. I try not to buy soda. That's my big thing. If I do have a craving, every blue moon, I try to do ginger ale. Um, but yeah. Anyway, y'all, getting my butt off of here. Peace, 2 and 2, y'all. Be safe, and I might be on here next week. I don't know what the Lord will give me. We'll see. I'm just chin wagging. For those of you who watch it, give us a like, thumbs up, share it out for those who might need it. Got any subjects, put it below. Who did send the subject? Somebody sent something in response to a video too. Oh, it was the one where I talked about the crazy Easter ministry programs. I've got a doctor's appointment in July, and we'll talk then about it. My concern about Ozempic is I believe it is an insulin base. I am not on insulin, and I don't. Kathy, hey baby, I don't want to. I don't want to become insulin dependent. So my concern is I don't know about you. I don't know that I want to use that kind of drug. I understand a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon for the weight loss. But it does concern me going on an insulin-based type thing because that can open up other things that I don't necessarily want to go into. I'm not insulin dependent right now. I am on metformin, but I'm not insulin dependent at all. I'm not in need of insulin. So for me, I think that this is a God thing. I already am aware of the obesity. I'm even aware of the whys. And I believe that part of it is a generational curse from my mother. Also, part of it is the abuse from my mother. There's not, to me, any, when you have 3 children and all 3 children have obesity issues and you were obese and we grew up in the madness of that household, we all love food. All of us can cook. Therefore, I I I I can't. You said you can't take metformin. What's up with metformin real quick, Kathy? And I'm about to end it, but what's going on with metformin? Most drugs ain't good for you know how and give us all that poison. But what's up? But see, I'm honest about it. It's the steps at trying to, it's my stronghold. I know my weight is my stronghold. Oh, okay, so you have a allergic. Okay, so they probably put you on something else if you got sugar issues. Um, it's my stronghold, flatbed, and I know that. That's why I said I'm honest about it. It's like a person who's a smoker and knows this is a I'm a smoker. I'm a smoking addiction. I appreciate you know your addiction. The steps to break that is not easy. That's why I said I have compassion for some of Monty's stuff. I get the compassion of his sexual addiction, and when it broke, he could not. He got it. God fixed it in another way. He prayed about it, and God fixed it in a whole nother way. But Monty could not get free in his mind because Monty would just lay in that chair and think about screwing women. That's all he thought about. And he was mad that he couldn't go and have sex with a chick. That was what, and that's why he just laid in the chair and slept all day. He was pissed off about his life. And I was like, you're lonely because you want to stay in your, you want to stay being you. Okay, do that. We're not going to be perfect in this life. We're going to have something. This is a stronghold. And it's a strong, like I said, when I saw my brother, I was like, ooh, because he's big like me. Only difference, he's 6'2". I'm 5'2", 5'3". I'm short. My brother's 6'2", so I'm look like a doggone Oompa Loompa. I look like a little fat, you know, the Oompa Loompas from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's me. That's when he said, "Shorty, it's your birthday" last year. I sent him an Oompa Loompa dance around. He started laughing because that's me. I'm an Oompa Loompa. That's the best way to. I'm short and round. I'm fat. So, and then I got big booty. I've had big booty all my life. So now the booty is just bigger. I'm an Oompa Loompa. And now I got on top of that the doggone two hernias, and one of them is on top of my belly button. The other one is underneath. I didn't even know I had one underneath. She says, "You have," my doctor, when she did the scan, she says, "You got 2 hernias." I'm like, 2? No wonder my stomach is all jacked up. And that's why people say, "Oh, you look like you lost weight." I don't know that I've lost because I think, like I said, I don't think I lost. Pretty much what's happening though is my eating is different. So I'm maintaining. I probably need to add exercise, and that's something, to be honest, I've been weighing in my mind because when I fractured my ankle, I actually lost weight because they had me going to the clinic for my ankle when I was doing my physical therapy. So they had me riding a bike, they had me doing this ball thing, and so they had me doing some walking and some stretches. And before I know, I lost like during that time, I lost like 20, 30 pounds. And it wasn't, and so I thought about getting me a stationary bike. I just haven't had the money. But I thought about getting a stationary bike. But I also thought about joining the gym. But because I am going to Grand Canyon University, I'm going to see whether or not I qualify because I'm sure most colleges have gyms. And I'm wondering if they have a pool. And I thought about seeing, I just got to go see the campus. I just drove by the past campus today, but I've never been on the campus. And they have a huge campus. I'm thinking for what we paying for online school, that we should have access to the gym. But I got to see where it's at because now you got to, and don't get me wrong, you got to walk. But if I had to walk all the way across the gym, that is going to be my exercise. I need to park close, go in and sit my butt on a bike, and I need to just ride. And I actually enjoy just sitting riding. I used to love riding a bike in general. But I need to get and do that, and then probably a pool. That would be really good. There is a gym down from me. It's not far. It's called LA Fitness. It's probably less than 5 minutes from my house. The problem is so where I live, guys, I am what they call the gay district. This is a very gay district for gay men. Um, and I'm in a district here, and a lot of these old antique historical districts gay men love. So my area is a gay district, gay boys in plethora. And they love this gym up here, and sometimes from what I heard from former gay friends, it ain't always the best situations. So I don't want to walk up into no surprises. I don't even know if I want to be in the pool and whatever y'all got may you have going on. I don't want to necessarily walk into the freakiness. So look at the campus online. You know what? That's actually a good idea. I didn't even go look to go see the buildings online. I didn't even think about that. That's a good idea, Flatbed. I can reach out to my counselor because I haven't seen, since we are online students, I haven't seen what our access is to gyms, but I'm sure we can actually end up, what's a recumbent bike? I don't know what a recumbent bike is, but okay. Let me know what that is. Um, the one I had at the physical therapy, you set your butt in it, it had the back, and then you just, and that's what I did. That was probably the first 15, 20 minutes of me being there for my physical therapy. Um, when I came out of the cast and was in the boot. Because my entire leg, the muscles were just jelly. I had to rebuild my muscles. And so I need to probably do that again. Um, and my back is probably messed up because of my belly, because of the belly fat and getting the weight off up front. So yeah, we sat back and I just did this for about 15. And like I said, by the time I was like, wait a minute, when they weighed me, it's like, oh, you're 30 pounds, like 25, 30 pounds lighter. I was like, where'd the weight go? Well, and the little caseworker nurse, she says, you're losing the weight because they had you working out at the physical therapy place. I'm like, she's absolutely right. Because it was purposeful, and that's what I was doing it. Oh, stationary bike is a recumbent bike. Okay, she's calling it a recumbent bike. I'm like, I just know it's a stationary bike. Okay, good deal. Okay, new word. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate y'all. New word in the vocabulary, a recumbent bike. Look at Flatbed up here throwing the big words at me. Look, I'll use plethora and what's the other one? Discombobulated, but I didn't know nothing about recumbent bike. I knew stationary bike. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's what I had at the physical therapy. So that's what I did. And I thought about getting a dog. My concern is, and I really want a Cocker Spaniel again. My concern is that right now I'm going to school and I'm working. If I was probably back to where I was just working from home, which hopefully that might come back into play, um, then I would probably do a dog because I would be able to walk with the dog. But I don't want to get a dog and then have to leave him here at the house, not be able to spend the time. And when I come in from work, even though I only work 8 hours, I'm like done. And I know it's age too. I know it's age. I'm physically getting old. So I know that. And then I still need to go, guys. I don't know if y'all can see. Well, you might not be able to see it here. I have a trimmer, and it started when I was in my 40s when I was working for Aetna. And one of the girls at work is the one who noticed it, and I hadn't even noticed it. And it is not good in this hand. This hand started a little later. It's not as bad. This one, I can still function with this hand. This hand shakes like nobody's business. And even like if I'm trying to do things, sometimes it's very shaky. So I need to go to a neurologist and find out about what's going on with that. My doctor's like, I can give you something for tremors. And I'm like, I'm sure you can, but until we find out what it is, I don't want you just giving me some drugs just for tremors until it's not functional. So, being older, I'm finding a lot of things. Well, Flatbed, I did bodybuilding in high school my senior year. I was doing weightlifting training back then. I did do that in high school. After high school, though, it went all downhill from there. Okay, I'm looking for a napkin. My nose is running. Anyway. All right, y'all. I'm going to get my little black butt off of here. Please, Flatbed, and all my truckers who watch, be safe. Anybody else also be safe. Miss Kathy, you on later. Go back and watch it. It's been something that has been crossing my mind. So thank you for sharing. Because it's funny because that's what I'm sharing with you about reaching out to the college. About a week or so back, I was thinking you might want to reach out to the recruiter my counselor, and see whether or not you qualify to go on campus and use the gym. And the irony was I had to pass the gym today when I was out. And I really mean the gym. I had to pass the college today when I'm out. They're on Camelback here up in Arizona. And I drove right past it. And it's a huge campus. Again, I don't know where the gym is at, but I did see their stadium. and some other things. So I'm going to just check it. But anyway, y'all be blessed. I'm going to get off of here. It's been 144 minutes. Kathy, good to see you. Hope your weather's good. PJ, good seeing you. And whoever else was watching, coming in and out, be blessed. Please give us a like, thumbs up, share it out. I might see y'all in a week, 2 weeks. Just watch when I say that I'm going to be live. Peace.